네, 크립토 플러스 2부 시작했습니다. 오늘 굉장히 특별한 날이죠.
아, 그렇죠. 저희가 이제 방송한 지 한 3개월 정도
그렇습니다.
됐는데 가장 좀 유명하신 분이 저희 스튜디오 찾아주셨습니다. 지금 아무래도 글로벌 자산 유동성이 다 AI 또 몰려가고 있고 또 동시에 비트코인이 글로벌 자산으로 자리매김을 하고 있는데 이 두 가지하고 모두 다 조금 이제 특별한 인연이 있는 그런 이제 유명한 투자자분이 지금 저희 스튜디오에 오셨는데요. 네, 아크인베스트의 캐시 우드 그리고 프랭크 다우닝 리서치 디렉터를 모셨습니다.
네. Today on Crypto Plus, we're honored to welcome the two of the most influential voices in disruptive innovation investing, Kathy Wood, CEO of ARK Invest, and Frank Downing, Director of Research. Welcome to Sampro TV. We're really honored to have you guys both.
Well, we're thrilled to be here. We've enjoyed our time in Korea incredibly. It's a very warm country.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
네, 아크인베스트먼트에서 나온 빅 아이디어스 2026이라고 하는 보고서가 있는데요. 여기 보면 이제 AI, 로보틱스 그리고 이제 에너지와 블록체인이 앞으로 이제 굉장히 융합이 기대되는 그런 핵심 분야다라고 제시를 했습니다. 2026년이 이제 벌써 절반 정도 지났는데요. 지금 투자자들이 가장 과소평가하고 있다라고 생각하는 변화가 무엇이라고 생각하십니까?
ARK's Big Ideas 2026 highlighted the convergence of AI, robotics, energy, and blockchain as the next major wave of innovation. Now that we're entering the second half of 2026, what do you believe investors continue to underestimate at this moment?
Well, I'll start. There's been a very big difference between the performance of the first three and blockchain technology. So we believe there's a lot of bearish sentiment on blockchain technology for a number of reasons. One of them is the so-called four-year cycle. We're in the downswing now. And I think institutional investors have been trying to figure out, okay, how deep will this cycle be? And they're going to pick their spots. We know they're moving into this new asset class, but they're going to move carefully because they've heard about this four-year cycle. There are two other reasons. We went through something called the flash crash in October last year, 10/10. We think that's pretty much cleared out. And then the other controversy has been quantum computing. Now, we are watching it carefully, but we don't think that is an immediate concern for Bitcoin.
네, 최근 시장의 관심이 굉장히 AI에 집중이 되고 있는데요. 투자자 입장에서 AI와 비트코인은 그 유동성을 나누어 가져야 되는 것인지 아니면은 같은 혁신 사이클 안에 투자 기회인지 궁금한데요. Investor attention today is heavily concentrated on AI. From an investment perspective, are AI and Bitcoin competing for the same investor pool, or do you see them as a complementary opportunities within the same innovation cycle?
Yeah, so in some ways they are competing right now. And I think you can see that clearly with the crypto mining companies that are taking their data centers and starting to repurpose them for AI data centers.
Right.
So that is a direct kind of competition for both the physical infrastructure and investment in those companies. But over time, we see them being actually more complementary. One example is the use of, I'll say, blockchain technology generally versus Bitcoin specifically for internet-based payments that could be used by AI agents. That's a concept that's really interesting to us, but will take some time to develop. And then another dynamic that maybe Kathy would want to elaborate on is we could be entering an age of abundance with AI. And Bitcoin, in contrast, is a very scarce asset, one of the scarcest. And so in an age of abundance, what holds real value? We think scarce assets like Bitcoin will increase in value in that environment.
저희가 이제 사실 크립토 플러스지만 이 3프로 TV를 보시는 많은 시청자 분들께서 테슬라 투자를 아크인베스트 때문에 시작한 분들이 많은 걸로 이제 알고 있습니다. 그래서 테슬라 관련한 질문을 조금 드려보면 지금 많은 투자자들이 테슬라를 전기차 기업으로 여전히 인식을 하고 있지만 아크인베스트 같은 경우는 굉장히 오래전부터 이 본질이 AI와 로보택시, FSD 같은 그리고 이제 로보틱스 측면에서의 가치가 훨씬 클 거다. 이런 이제 어떤 뷰를 많이 보여주셨거든요. 지금 캐시우드 님이 생각하시는 테슬라의 본질적인 가치가 또 어떻게 달라졌는지 좀 궁금합니다.
So many investors still view Tesla as just an EV company, but we understand that ARK has long been emphasizing the value of AI and full self-driving and robotics. So in your view, what is Tesla fundamentally becoming?
Tesla is showing us today the idea of the convergence among technologies that is going to, we believe, generate significant growth, exponential or super exponential growth. So it is the convergence of robotics, energy storage, and AI. Autonomous vehicles are robots, they will be electric, and they'll be powered by AI. So we've got three different S-curves associated with three technologies that are going to start feeding each other. And that's what causes the surprisingly rapid growth that we see ahead as the robotaxi network takes off. And then beyond that, we have Optimus, and then beyond that, we have Terafab. And even more interesting, there is speculation that SpaceX will buy Tesla at some point in the future, because Elon Musk now is talking about this convergence and has even himself been surprised at how many of his companies are converging. So we're pretty excited about this because that stream of companies and growth rates could extend for a very long time. Elon believes, and it's almost necessary, innovator is creating a new way of doing things. Vertical integration is very important. And I think what we're seeing at Tesla is vertical integration, and we'll see it even further in SpaceX, especially if SpaceX acquires Tesla with its Terafab.
수직 통합이라는 표현을 쓰셨는데 디지털 자산 투자자들이 많이 기대하고 있는 부분이 뭐냐면 수천만 대 로보택시가 결국에 돌아다니게 될 거고 그것들이 이제 AI 기반으로 사업을 시작하게 될 거고 그러다 보면 이제 자동으로 택시에 사람이 없는데 결제를 하고 또 택시가 알아서 돌아다니는 이런 어떤 미래상이 오지 않겠느냐라는 그런 이제 생각들을 많이 하는 것 같아요. 그러면 이 결제를 하는 단계에서 블록체인을 사용한다든지 이런 부분도 제가 볼 때는 일종의 수직 통합이라고 보이는데 이런 것도 가능할까요?
So you just talked about how everything's just connected vertically eventually. And if millions of robotaxis and AI agents eventually begin transacting and settling value autonomously, how do you evaluate blockchain's potential role as the infrastructure behind that economy?
I think that over time we will see more and more of the world's financial assets move onto blockchain networks and more financial services be developed around them. And we think of that as an upgrade to the financial system that will remove traditional intermediaries and lower costs. And we think that presents a great opportunity for blockchain networks that are underpinning this new financial system. So in particular, smart contract networks like Ethereum stand to gain. That's where the most assets are now. We think Solana is also interesting. And then there's a new wave of blockchains that are more corporate in nature, created by companies like Circle, that seem like they're gaining traction in the United States by helping traditional institutions operate in a more regulated environment.
네, 비트코인 관련한 질문을 좀 드리고 싶습니다. 아크인베스트먼트는 빅 아이디어스 2025 모델에서 비트코인 2030년 목표가로 세 가지 시나리오를 제시를 했었거든요. 그래서 약세 시나리오, 그러니까 베어 마켓 시나리오에서는 한 30만 달러 정도 갈 거다라고 얘기했고 기본 베이스 시나리오에서는 71만 달러 정도가 예상된다. 그리고 상승 시나리오, 불 시나리오에서는 150만 달러라고 하는 목표가를 제시를 해서 사실 굉장히 화제가 됐었습니다. 이후에 활성 공급량을 이제 반영해서 모델 업데이트를 한 후에는 약세, 기본, 그리고 상승 시나리오가 각각 50만, 120만, 240만 달러로 더 늘어났어요. 그래서 한국에서도 2030년에 아크 인베스트먼트가 비트코인 가격 240만 달러를 예상하고 있다라는 부분이 굉장히 화제가 됐었는데 지금도 그 전망에 대한 확신이 유효한 상황입니까?
In ARK's Big Ideas 2025 model, Bitcoin's 2030 price targets were approximately, in the bear case, 300,000, base case, 710,000, and in the bull case, 1.5 million. Later, after adjusting for active supply metrics, those projections were revised upward a little bit to 500,000, 1.2 million, and 2.4 million. And that was big news for the Korean investors as well. So do you still maintain confidence in those projections today?
So we build our valuation model for Bitcoin by adding together different use cases. So the first and the biggest is digital gold. And you've seen gold go up in value a lot recently. But also a nation state asset, a corporate treasury. We actually have had payments as a use case for Bitcoin for some time, and we see stablecoins taking some of that role. All of these use cases, and I should mention also an institutional investment as part of a diversified portfolio, are the main contributors to our model and result in the 710,000 base case. The 1.2 million, we take all of these market sizes and we divide them by the number of Bitcoins, 21 million for the first number. And if you account for tokens that are lost or locked up, like the Satoshi tokens, that's how you get to the 1.2 million number. But I think generally when we think of the market, it's really the 710,000 that I think is the right base case. And 1.2 million as a base case was reported on that thought experiment as our main base case. So I would think of 710,000, but keep in mind, these market sizes are changing and the price of gold going up impacts our model, as does the price or the value of the equity markets generally, which influence the size of institutional portfolios.
추가로 그럼 이 부분 꼭 여쭤보고 싶은데요. 어쨌든 지금 베이스 케이스가 71만 달러 2030년까지 갈 거다라고 하면 2025년에는 지금 또 예상하지 못했던 장세가 2026년에는 지금 또 펼쳐지고 있잖아요. 이 아크 인베스트먼트에서 만약에 71만 달러를 상향하거나 아니면 하향한다라고 했을 때 그 변수가 될 만한 핵심 변수가 무엇인지 그런 부분을 좀 여쭤보고 싶습니다.
So we understand that there are lots of variables that affect your model. For now, it's 710,000 price that you're looking at. So we just want to ask you, among ETF adoption, corporate treasury adoption, nation state adoption, and stable coin expansion, all things, which variable do you currently view as the most important one?
The largest contributor is the use case of Bitcoin as digital gold. It is really unique in being one, scarce, and two, an alternative to government money. And that's really unique to Bitcoin. That's the largest contributor to the model. But in terms of the overall market narrative around it, the institutional adoption is really a key component, where we see institutions like BlackRock beginning to position Bitcoin as an asset that should be in a diversified portfolio.
Yes, and I think that we're probably, in terms of contribution to the price, we're probably going to see the institutional demand increase relative to gold, I would say. One of the reasons is this is a new asset class. And its correlations, whether you're talking about risk or return, its correlations to other assets are very low. And in fact, even relative to gold, the correlation with gold is only 0.1. We took that, 2019 to today. So that's a very low correlation. That's what institutions want. Asset allocators want a diversified portfolio to increase their risk-adjusted returns. And that is what Bitcoin will do.
네, 최근에 이제 기관 투자자 관련해서 여쭤보고 싶은데요. 최근 한 5월부터 비트코인 현물 ETF 시장에서 자금 유출이 변동성이 굉장히 커지고 있습니다. 그래서 비트코인 현물 ETF 2024년에 도입된 이후로 지금까지는 좀 완만하게 계속 돈이 들어오는 그런 추세였기 때문에 우리가 이제 기관 투자자들이 이 시장에 더 진입을 하고 있다 이렇게 인식을 했었는데 지금까지 이렇게 들어왔던 부분이 기관 투자자가 초기 진입 단계였기 때문에 계속 늘어왔다라고 봐야 되는 것인지 아니면 앞으로는 또 이런 부분들이 좀 감소하는 수준으로 돌아설 수도 있다라고 라는 것을 우리가 염두에 둬야 되는 것인지 그런 부분 여쭤보고 싶습니다.
Spot Bitcoin ETFs in the United States have recently experienced very extreme greater volatility in fund inflows and outflows, especially starting in May. So should last year's large inflows be interpreted as merely early stages of institutional adoption, or should we view it as it has a substantial portion of the future demand already been priced in?
The way we're looking at it is the big burst was when ETFs were issued in 2024. And if you look at the recent flows, yes, there have been some outflows, but not as much as you might have seen from retail. Institutional has been pretty steady. If anything, for the reason I cited earlier, institutions are taking their time moving into this new asset class because they've heard about this 4-year cycle and they just want to perhaps average in. So we do not believe demand has been pulled forward in the last couple of years. If anything, we believe that institutions have been very cautious and that when this 4-year cycle is complete, and we do seem to be in a bottoming process now, that they will move in more aggressively.
네, 이번에는 DAT 기업, 디지털 에셋 트레저리 기업 관련해서 좀 여쭤보겠습니다. 최근 들어서 비트코인 투자자들 사이에서 가장 많은 논란을 일으키고 있는 것이 바로 이 DAT 기업인데요. 이게 가격이 올라갈 때는 굉장히 좋았거든요. 왜냐하면 스트레티지라든지 이런 기업들이 비트코인을 많이 샀고 그래서 이익을 보는 투자자들이 많았습니다. 근데 또 하락장이 되니까 이 DAT 기업들이 시장에 상당히 부담이 되고 있다. 이런 또 분석들도 나오고 있어요. 그래서 제가 여쭤보고 싶은 부분은 비트코인이 DAT 기업을 통해서 기업 재무 전략의 일부가 되고 있다라고 봐야 되는 것인지 아니면 이 DAT 기업 자체가 이전에는 없었던 새로운 형태의 레버리지 머신 같은 역할을 하고 있는 것인지 그런 부분들이 좀 궁금합니다.
So over the past year, digital asset treasury companies have rapidly increased in number. The companies like Strategy have bought a lot of Bitcoins and a lot of people made money from that. But do you see this as evidence that Bitcoin is becoming part of the corporate treasury strategy as a new form of a leverage machine?
In some ways, it's both. Strategy in particular has quite a bit of leverage, which they call amplification. It's about 40% of leverage relative to their assets. That's what has allowed them to outperform in up markets, but that leverage causes them to underperform in down markets. So I think it's something that investors in digital asset treasury companies should be aware of. And the second part is that very few treasury companies have been able to scale effectively. It's really only Michael Saylor's Strategy and Tom Lee's BitMine. Those are the two largest, and it seems like winner take most in the corporate treasuries.
네, 미국에서는요, 스테이블 코인 및 디지털 자산 관련 규제 체계가 굉장히 빠르게 진행이 되고 있는데요. 이런 환경 변화가 아크의 크립토 투자 전략에 또 어떤 의미를 가지는지가 궁금합니다. The US is rapidly advancing regulatory frameworks for stablecoins and digital assets in general. And what does this evolving regulatory environment mean for ARK's crypto investment strategy?
Well, I can reflect on one of our last answers. One of the other reasons institutions have not been moving in aggressively is we don't have the Clarity Act passed. Some are waiting for that. So that's another answer to the question, did we pull demand forward? No, not at all. Some institutions haven't even started getting involved. In terms of the regulatory framework, it's a very healthy development, and we do believe as more institutions evolve their crypto strategies, that they will become more active in their approaches. Today, we have a fund, a spot Bitcoin ETF, and we did that fund as almost a public good. We believe everyone should have access to a low price fund for Bitcoin. So we have that one passive strategy, but ARK is an active manager. And so we are going to use our research to evolve portfolios going forward that we think are going to be able to capitalize on the various moves among the different assets as this world becomes more institutionalized.
그렇다면은 그 민간 스테이블 코인이 전 세계적으로 확산이 된다면 전통적인 이제 달러 패권은 약해지는 건지 아니면 오히려 달러의 영향력이 온체인 위에서 강해진다고 볼 수 있을지 궁금합니다. Private stable coins continue to expand globally. Does that weaken traditional US dollar dominance? Or does it eventually strengthen the dollar's influence on chain?
Well, this is an interesting question because many people believe that Bitcoin in particular was going to be a big challenge to the dollar. We have seen some dollar weakness, but we actually think that stablecoins are going to increase the dollar's influence because they are backed primarily by U.S. Treasury securities and, of course, dollars. So we see this as a way to export dollars to people, especially in emerging markets, whose currencies are extremely volatile and whose monetary and policy regimes are not in sync with maintaining the purchasing power and wealth of their own populations. So we think the dollar is going to have increased influence. And we actually have a contrarian view. We think the dollar is going to move up as the returns on invested capital in the United States move up based on deregulation, like we're seeing with crypto, and lower taxes, better tax treatment. Somewhat contrarian, but we are maintaining that stance.
스테이블 코인이 이제 신흥국 중심으로 더 나은 돈, better money로 자리를 잡는다고 하면 비트코인은 미래 디지털 금융 생태계에서 또 어떤 역할을 하게 될지가 궁금합니다. If stable coins become better money across the emerging markets, what role will Bitcoin play within the future digital financial ecosystem?
So we see people really wanting to see stablecoins as competitive to Bitcoin. But I think it's important to remember that the purpose of Bitcoin and a key value proposition is that it is non-government and seizure-resistant money. So this is actually very different from stablecoins, which are an extension of government money. We actually saw this really acutely in April when the US government actually used stablecoins to seize funds from Iranian-linked entities. That is not possible with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is truly independent and you cannot seize it remotely. So I think that value proposition still really holds and is even more unique now, even as we see stablecoins being adopted for day-to-day payments, which we think is one of the areas where they excel.
Yeah, and one thing I will say in addition to that is even in the Bitcoin community, they are looking, the OG Bitcoiners are looking at stable coins almost as a humanitarian kind of bridge into the future of Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin right now is very volatile. It's been in a bit of a bear market. And people who in emerging markets who are living hand to mouth cannot afford the volatility. That's why they are demanding stable coins. Longer term, as wealth increases around the world, thanks to all of the technologies that are evolving, we believe more and more people will move into Bitcoin because of its scarcity value, as Frank discussed earlier.
네, 아크인베스트먼트에서 최근에 그 금융의 온체인화를 굉장히 중요한 투자 테마 중에 하나로 제시를 했었는데요. 향후 5년에서 10년 사이에 가장 먼저 그리고 가장 파괴적으로 온체인화가 될 수 있는 금융 영역이 어디라고 보시는지 궁금합니다.
So ARK has recently emphasized finance moves on-chain as a major investment theme. Over the next 5 to 10 years, which segment of finance do you believe will move on-chain first? And where do you see the greatest disruption occurring?
So we can see nearly all types of financial services moving on-chain. And there's a lot of examples from trading to lending to derivatives that are already taking place. I think particularly in the US markets for really large use cases, stablecoins have been a great example of something already taking dollars and making them internet native that's taking place. And I think there's a new wave of interest in tokenization. Stablecoins are tokenized dollars, and we'll have tokenized equities next. And there's companies in the US like Securitize and Bullish that are moving quickly in those areas.
기관 투자자들이 비트코인을 넘어서 이더리움하고 디파이 생태계에 관심을 보이고 있다는 평가가 굉장히 많은데 실제 월가와 미국 기관들이 디파이에 좀 참여하는 그 수준과 또 내부 분위기가 어느 정도인지 궁금합니다. So there's a growing discussion that institutional investors are beginning to look beyond Bitcoin toward Ethereum and DeFi ecosystems. How engaged are Wall Street institutions currently in DeFi, and what is the overall sentiment internally?
So I think that some of the largest Wall Street institutions view blockchain ecosystems as both a major opportunity and to some extent a risk to their business models. So for example, BlackRock has one of the largest tokenized money market funds and they chose Ethereum to build that on top of. JP Morgan is building tokenized deposits, as are a few other banks, and we just mentioned the tokenized equity movement as well. So these are all opportunities for traditional institutions to integrate into blockchain networks. But on the risk side, we see companies like Visa and MasterCard, these large payment networks, that are trying to figure out how to integrate into blockchains. And they're trying to figure that out quickly because things like stablecoins and new on-chain payment networks could be a threat to their very high margins. So they need to reinvent themselves or risk being disrupted by blockchain technology.
네, 지금 플랭크가 블랙론 얘기를 또 해주셨는데 지금 작년 말부터 우리 실물자산 토큰화 RWA라고 부르는 시장 자체가 굉장히 빠르게 커지고 있습니다. 그래서 지금 투자자들 입장에서는 이 시장의 승자가 누가 될 것이냐 하는 부분에 대한 관심이 굉장히 많은데 대답하기 좀 어려울 수 있는 문제라서 제가 보기를 3개를 드리겠습니다. 1번 퍼블릭 블록체인 네트워크, 2번은 스테이블 코인 발행사, 3번은 전통 월가의 금융기관. 셋 중에 누가 승리하게 될까요?
So with BlackRock's Beetle, BUIDL, and the rapid expansion of tokenized RWAs, who do you believe will ultimately capture the greatest value if the RWA markets scale significantly? So will it be public blockchain networks or stablecoin issuers or traditional financial institutions?
The companies that are building these financial services and using blockchain technologies to reduce their cost and offer better products to their customers likely have an opportunity to capture a lot of value because they are serving the needs of their clients. That being said, the underlying blockchains serve as a critical enabler and we think will capture value too. But we have observed as the number of blockchains have proliferated, the average fees come down and we see more revenue going to the applications than the underlying blockchains. So it's something that we watch, but an important note on the underlying blockchains is that it may be a winner take most opportunity. So even though they have a lower share of the total economics, they can still be very big in terms of earnings and network value.
현재 시점에서 아크가 가장 큰 확신을 가지고 있는 크립토 투자 테마가 무엇인지 궁금하고요. 비트코인, 스테이블코인, 온체인 금융 그리고 디지털 자산 인프라 기업 중에서 가장 주목하시고 있는 영역이 뭔지 또 궁금합니다. I almost feel like you've been answering this question over and over again, but just wanted to make sure. So at this moment, which crypto investment theme currently carries the highest level of conviction at ARK among Bitcoin and stablecoin, on-chain finance, and digital asset infrastructure companies? Which area are you most focused on?
In the long term, we think there's opportunities across all of these areas as the digital asset economy grows. But if you think earlier we were talking about the Bitcoin price target of over $700,000, that's more than a 10x from where we are right now. So we're clearly bullish on Bitcoin as an opportunity. But if you were to look right this moment, it feels like stablecoins are really hitting their stride and are at the right place at the right time, where you have the Genius bill that's been passed in the US that has clear regulation That will come soon for the rest of digital assets, but isn't here yet. And you have companies like Circle that are doing a great job at proliferating stablecoin adoption and helping bridge the crypto native world with traditional financial institutions. So we think that is a really high conviction opportunity for us right now.
네, 지금 뭐 여러 가지 얘기 저희가 나눠봤는데 요즘에 특히 이제 글로벌 매크로가 굉장히 불확실성이 크고 지정학적 위기랑도 겹쳐 있고 또 이제 크립토 시장이 원래 변동성도 높기 때문에 사실 투자자들이 야 이게 장기 투자 너무 힘들다 이런 얘기들을 또 많이 하시거든요. 이런 투자자들한테 좀 전달하고 싶으신 메시지가 있다면 한 개씩만 좀 부탁드리겠습니다.
So this question goes for both of you. In a world filled with global macro uncertainty and high crypto market volatility, what message would you like to give and share with Korean investors who are focused on long-term wealth building?
Well, it's interesting to be here in Korea as you've just enjoyed a parabolic move in Samsung and SK
Right.
Hynix. Remember, Bitcoin felt that way, and other crypto assets felt that way last year up until October. And so what I would suggest, as I always do, it's important to diversify. Actually, these seem to be very complementary, or they're inversely correlated, at least recently. So you're in two very important areas, AI related and blockchain related. Blockchain right now and Bitcoin, all of them, but Bitcoin specifically, is going to benefit, as Frank mentioned earlier, from the age of abundance that AI is creating. So its scarcity value is why it will become more valuable over time. So I would diversify, average down on, actually, we've been talking about semiconductors quite a bit recently. There's a correction now. I can see some averaging down there. It looks like Bitcoin is bottoming out, testing a base. Our conviction in it has not been diminished. So I would definitely take increased, I shouldn't say this, I can't say this. I would definitely consider increasing exposure to Bitcoin, as many are worried about the 4-year cycle. Yes, well, as always, our suggestion is to have a diversified portfolio and buy low, sell high. So Bitcoin is low right now. I'm not saying it's at its bottom, one never knows, but it does seem to be basing, and we are moving into more regulatory clarity with the Clarity Bill. And if we're right, AI is going to keep booming, moving forward, but also creating this age of abundance, meaning supply of everything is going to go up very rapidly, which cannot happen with Bitcoin. Its scarcity value will shine through, we think, during the next few years.
I agree with everything Kathy said, especially the concept of taking profits along the way, averaging out, and then averaging back in on the way down as a way to not try to perfectly time the bottoms or the tops of the market. I learned that from Kathy. And another piece of advice that I like, or one of the reasons why I like investing, is that it feels like learning. And I feel like if you're going to be investing in the market, it's an opportunity to always be learning and teaching yourselves new things, and using AI to teach yourselves new things. And if you're really engaged, it can help you understand the market better and the technologies. And it's always better to invest in something you understand than to invest in something you just heard on the street. So that's other advice that I like to give.
Yeah, I do that all the time, by the way. I listen to my hair and makeup person sometimes.
이 미국에서 아무래도 디지털 자산을 수용하는 속도가 굉장히 빨라지다 보니까 이제 한국에 있는 투자자분들이 많이 궁금해하는 게 비트코인, 이더리움은 내가 좀 사봐서 알고 있는데 사실 지금 그런 거를 사는 게 맞느냐, 아니면 뭐 코인베이스라든지 아니면 서클이라든지 이런 디지털 에셋에 특화되어 있는 기업의 주식을 사는 게 맞느냐, 뭐 이런 고민들을 또 좀 하거든요. 여기에 대해서 조언을 주신다면 어떤 조언을 주실 수 있을까요?
So Korean investors often wonder between direct Bitcoin exposure and investing in digital asset infrastructure companies such as Coinbase and Circle, which area does ARK currently have stronger conviction in?
It's interesting. This group moves together, both the public equities and the crypto assets. So it's hard to separate them. We know that Bitcoin tends to lead a cycle up. So if we had to pick one, probably starting there, AI and fintech portfolios, we have a larger weighting in Bitcoin right now than we do in either Coinbase or Circle.
And the other thing that I would add on is that we expect, particularly a company like Circle that's investing in stablecoins, that performance should diverge over time or be less correlated with the broader crypto market because of the nature of stablecoins, whereas Coinbase and Bitcoin will trade more correlated.
And it has been interesting that Circle has actually been more volatile on the downside recently than these others. So we think that's an opportunity.
한국 투자자들은 캐시우드 CEO를 돈나무 언니라고 부르는데 그걸 알고 계시는지 또 한국 투자자들에 대한 인상이 또 굉장히 궁금합니다. In Korea, many investors affectionately refer to you as Money Tree Sister. A nickname that loosely translates to the sister, money, tree sister who grows money. Were you aware of this nickname?
Interestingly, I was aware, but I didn't know why I had that name. But I learned about it on this trip.
Oh, great.
Yes, and so I knew about the tree. Tree is wood, right?
Right,
I understood
yeah.
that. I did not understand money until this time when someone explained to me that my first name, the pronunciation here in Korea, is more like Kashi.
Yeah, like cash.
Cash. Okay, I had no idea. So I had no idea where the money came from. So no, it's been really fun to learn more about it.
Yeah, so you're a money growing tree sister to all of us in Korea.
저 개인적으로 캐시우드 CEO한테 물어보고 싶은 게 있었는데요. 액티브 투자를 굉장히 오래 하셨잖아요. 그래서 굉장히 많은 상황을 겪어보셨을 것 같은데 요즘 같은 변동성 높은 장에서 사실 이제 저도 그렇고 저의 지인들도 그렇고 굉장히 스트레스를 많이
맞습니다.
받고 있거든요. 그래서 스트레스 관리를 어떻게 하는지 개인적인 노하우가 너무 궁금했어요.
So this is a personal question from Mr. Kim. We've been talking about this actually before you came here. So we understand that you've been doing active investing in lots of different areas, and we're sure that you get so stressed out sometimes. And how do you manage that stress?
Well, we take our responsibility very seriously. It is based on really deep research. So I'm standing on the shoulders of directors like Frank and our analysts and our research associates. And the courage of conviction comes out of real research. If your research is deeper than most, then you actually know more and are willing to withstand more on the downside. You end up looking at it as an opportunity. Wait a minute, people don't understand this. We will average down into this opportunity because we think we have a point of view based on research, grounded in research, that is differentiated and over time we believe will be right.
Now I totally understand why I am stressed out. And you look beautiful like that.
이게 T형 답변.
You're so
네.
sweet.
T형 답변이었습니다.
이제 이해가 되네요.
네.
저희가 공부를 좀 더 했었어야 되는데.
공부가 모자랐습니다.
We should have studied more. Okay. Thank you so much for coming today, and we hope that you guys have a great time in Korea.
Thank you.
Yeah, we've already had a great time. The welcome has been just wonderful, and we'll be back.
When are you coming back?
Hopefully soon.
Yeah.
Really? Okay. Yeah, we'll be
좋습니다.
looking forward to it. And
Thank you.
that time we'll have no script and we'll just go.
Yeah, we'll just riff. Yeah.
네, 크립토 플러스 오늘은 여기까지입니다. 다음 주 월요일에 다시 찾아뵙겠습니다. 감사합니다.